Hi, it's Nicola here, Nicola Foster of Real Relating, and I'm sharing today about getting out of destructive cycles. So most couples have arguments that they do on repeat. You know how to push each other's buttons, and sometimes these can get a bit negative and destructive. And what I want to teach today is about some ideas of how not to do that and what you can do instead. So something that's destructive is blaming or shaming or being very critical. It's about not making it safe for each other. And another thing that can really help is to get help from outside. So one of the things I'm teaching couples when they come to couples therapy is that it's not the other person who's the problem. That's what often happens, is we make the other person wrong. Like, if you weren't this way, we'd be okay. And actually, it's the cycle that's the problem. And this is the infinity loop that comes from the emotionally focused therapy model, which I absolutely love. Emotionally focused therapy is the work of Dr. Sue Johnson. There's a great book called Hold Me Tight. And there's this infinity loop that we use in that model that's, I think, really, really useful to kind of unpack what happens in an argument. So what you're seeing here is that this infinity loop represents the triggering that goes on between two people. So we've got up here, I react emotionally with, and then the other person feels inside something. They react emotionally with something else. The other person feels something inside. So they react again emotionally, probably more so. The other person feels worse. There's a reaction, and so on and so forth. It's a negative cycle. So this is the cycle. I'm just going to stop my video for a minute while I show you this. So this is an example of me and my partner and how we went through the cycle, how we moved through this cycle. So what happens is that my partner bought the wrong food. I was wanting to not use the oven because it was a hot day and I wanted to have salad. My partner came home with something that needed to be oven cooked. And I'm not proud of myself, but I actually got really, really upset. I was crying. I totally overreacted and I was quite angry and upset. And I was really having a go. I was complaining a lot. And my partner felt really unfairly attacked. It seemed disproportionate. They thought they'd done a good thing buying what they thought was nice food. So they defended themselves. But what was going on for me, the reason my response was a bit disproportionate, was that it touched something in me where I felt like I'd named a need, and the need was to not get too hot. But somehow or other, I felt misattuned to, because what I'd asked for had just been disregarded. I felt like my needs didn't matter. And for my partner, how they felt was they just felt like not enough. Like, and this touches a deep wound in them of not feeling like they're not enough, like can't get it right. Whatever they do, it's wrong, can't get it right. So the line in the middle represents that there's stuff going on above the surface, things we can see, and there's things going on under the surface, these deeper feelings. So the cycle got worse, as they do. That's what they do. I got more angry and distressed because I was more upset. He felt more attacked and defended with anger and withdrew. Felt bad in some way, not enough. And I felt that because he was withdrawn, that my relationship's a mess. My needs don't matter. So this cycle is called the withdraw pursue cycle. Well, it's not called that, but it's often looks like there's one person withdrawing and one person pursuing. Not always, but that's quite a common cycle that a lot of couples get into, is that one withdraws and it makes the other one want to pursue even more. I'm going to turn my video on so you can see me. So what can you do differently? That's the million-dollar question, right? What could you do differently? Well, one thing I could do is when I was feeling that anger and upset, I could choose to try and break the cycle. I could have gone away and journaled about my feelings rather than going into complaining. I could have done a silent scream, like gone into the bathroom and like let that energy move through me, and then come back and, paused and realized that he wasn't, trying to miss my needs, that he just genuinely didn't really think about it. Or I could just be mature and let it go. Maybe I could. I mean, maybe I couldn't. Maybe I could. Maybe I couldn't. It all depends, doesn't it, on how much sleep we've had and what else has happened before. But he could have also broken the cycle by sharing his fear. So rather than going into defending and saying, but you didn't tell me and I didn't know, and he could have just said, oh, I'm concerned that I've let you down, or I'm concerned that there's something going on here that I don't understand. I'm worried about what's happening. What's this about? It probably would have opened me to be able to respond more creatively if I didn't feel that he was just defending. And then when somebody defends, we tend to just push harder. So that's what I really wanted to talk about, was that the problem isn't your partner. Often it's the cycle that you get into. And it usually is to do with your own wounds from the past. That means that it touches something in you. Like in that example, it touched me because I felt like it was to do with not getting my needs met, which is something that's raw for me. And it touched him because he felt like he wasn't good enough. Couldn't get it right, which is an old raw wound for him. If you stay in the cycle, there's only one way, and that's down. It is destructive. If you start to put in place some of these alternatives to breaking the cycle, sharing vulnerabilities, or soothing yourself and not pushing on the relationship, then you can go in a healthy upward cycle where arguments just end quite quickly and you come together feeling closer. So I'll leave you with this, a question: what's the impact of what you do in your cycle? What's a typical usual thing you do? Do you pursue? Do you withdraw? And what's the impact on your partner? I love this quote from Viktor Frankl. The one thing you can't take away from me is the way I choose to respond to what you do to me. The last of one's freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance. So we do have power. We have the power to choose how we respond to our partners. We do. So I've got this handout. If you'd like a copy, just jump in my DMs and I can let me know, and I can send you a copy, or I'll put a link in my bio of how to get one. Okay, yeah, this is a worksheet that you can work together with your partner to look at your cycle and fill it out yourselves. So thanks for listening. I really appreciate it, and see you in another video. Bye.